And a 3, a 2, a 1.
Welcome to the Good Games Podcast.
Ooh.
My name is James.
I'm Leo.
And I'm Justin. Ooh.
What if we did the whole podcast like this?
My diaphragm would hurt. Ooh.
Pass.
Welcome. This is our is this our third Halloween? This is our third Halloween episode.
So it's the third time you guys are going to hear that beautiful like in the intro, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, Justin knows the name.
Man,
I
well
just
done.
knew.
Why
I
wouldn't
just
I know
knew it
the
was
name?
Bach. Yeah, of course. You're a music guy.
Yep.
Sidebar. Toccata and Fugue. Like if you listen to that shit, it sounds exactly like Dancing Mad. You can tell Uematsu like listened to that and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that for Final Fantasy."
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like
Composers
a lot of-
stealing each other's crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, Among Us is a spooky game. That's a segue.
Very
It's kind of a spooky game. It's spooky adjacent, I guess.
It's kind of it has sort of a spooky premise, right?
It's
like-
murder. It's
yeah,
murder is
murder
the theme.
on a-
Yeah.
It's
on a
more
ship.
aggravation though than
Someone-
it is murder. It's more of like I want to hate my friends. Than
It's aggravation. If
it's
you're
more of
Justin.
like why would you betray me? It's more of hey, why kill me first in every fucking game? Assholes.
That's so true.
They know what I'm talking about.
So we played some Among Us, and it was like our group's tradition to just always murder Justin first. If you're the imposter.
You're
Had
fucking
to
assholes.
find Justin. Oh,
I
there he
didn't,
is.
I didn't even get like a chance to. I never reported a body. I never got a chance to report a body. That's how early I would die. Like I don't even know how you report a body. Like I still
Yeah.
don't know how you do that.
So for people who don't know what the fuck we're talking about right now, Among Us is actually a game that came out 2 years ago in 2018 and came out to modest success, I guess, but like didn't really blow up until a few months ago when a bunch of popular Twitch streamers started playing it, and then it blew up and got crazy big, and now it's inescapable. If you're on the internet, there's memes everywhere. It's taken over. And then we played it recently, and I still didn't describe what the fuck the game is. It's a social deduction game. So if you've ever played like Resistance or Mafia or Werewolf or any game like that, it's all about trying to figure out who the killer is or the other person is, and if you're the other person, you want to cast suspicion on other people and not get found out. That's the basic premise of the game. But there's a couple of unique things that it can do because it's a video game that I find kind of interesting.
Tangent. Is this the first social deduction video game?
Oh,
First for me.
I doubt it. I mean, it's the first one I've played that's gotten like super duper popular. There's
Yeah.
got to be other social
What?
deduction.
I'm
video
sure
games.
I'm sure there's something out there
Yeah,
that's
well,
like
it's definitely
it.
the first one I've played, and I mean, maybe there's other attempts at it in the past, but this one just did it simple enough that it was, like it felt like those board games that I love. I love social deduction games, but this felt like the first time that I could play one, I guess, digitally really easily, and that made it. enticing.
That's a nice thing too. Is it's very simple in what
Right.
it does.
In the
It's not
simplicity,
too
good.
complicated. The games can go quick.
The social deduction games is all about the fun comes from just how every game can be different, just based on the paradigms it has set. You don't have to make the game itself complicated.
Now, granted, I know like probably if you had a complaint, it's probably that it doesn't look good. It looks very like maybe Newgrounds flashy kind of.
No, I love that art style.
But
That
I
was
like.
not-
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
I love that. That's the only real complaint I would have about it. So I'm not happy with some of the maps from the game. I think it's like there's like almost like a abandoned base in like the snow.
Oh, the
That
big
map,
bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
That map is
that
like
map like
way
confuses the crap
way
out of me.
big and open. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my
Other
one
than that,
complaint. My one complaint is that there's no, and I mean it's just something they need to integrate. There's no actual voice integration in the game, so like we ended up having to use Discord, which normally would not be that big of an issue. But one of the rules of the game is there are certain moments in the game where you can't talk, and that's where voice chat in game would be crucial because the game could just mute everyone and not allow anyone to talk in the moments where you're not supposed to be talking. But that's just something they need to add. It's more of a missing feature, I guess, than a
yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it was a fun game to play. Had a good time.
Hell yeah.
I would really like. I haven't personally, because we played amongst our group of like. I guess we had probably upwards of 8 people at one point.
I think at most we had either 8 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to play in the big ones where like it's like, doesn't it go up to like 20 or 15 or 20 or something like that?
Last I checked, it only goes up to 10, but maybe
Is
they've
it 10?
started.
Okay.
Maybe they've started expanding it. I don't know.
I don't know. I
But
like
yeah,
to play in a big group.
The more the better with this game,
Yeah.
I think. Like because we played a couple, while we were just waiting for people to, finish doing whatever it is they were doing. We had groups of like 5 or 4 even, and like the game does not work as well at smaller numbers as it does with larger numbers.
Yeah, because the problem ends up being that everyone's so separated doing the tasks. I can't talk. Tasks in the game that they when you only have like 5 people, everyone's so separated that it's easy just to kill them off.
Yeah.
Like
there's that problem, and then there's also the problem that like 3 people can group up together, and then there's only 2 other people, and if one of those people die and they weren't part of the group of 3, it's like whoever came back alive, you're obviously the imposter.
I didn't see him, so
yeah, we get these
But
weird
then,
situations where it doesn't
that's
work
like
out.
that was one of the great things about that game, was when you had more people, obviously.
Yes.
Was being when everyone was like, well, I didn't see this fucker over there, and I didn't see him doing tasks, and I was around blah 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 the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, and then everyone gets all like, as they say in the game, sus, and starts like
sus, very sus,
very sus,
very sus, and then they like everyone starts like saying, oh, it's got to be that guy, and everyone starts voting for that guy, and the guy's like pleading like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's funny to just watch videos too of that kind of stuff. I watched a stream of it the other day where that happened to someone and they got voted off even though they weren't
so I think that's
suspicious.
kind of why Among Us has done so well, is like, I love social deduction games, but usually it's very difficult unless you are sort of an experienced gamer or board gamer to keep track of the kind of things you really should be keeping track of in a social deduction game. So like normally it's like who voted to like, to like yes or no on this mission, or who voted for this. There's very subtle pieces of info, in the board game version of social deduction games that most time when you have like, you just throw it out at a party, people just don't pay attention to that and they just vote for whoever looks like they're lying or whatever, which can be fun. But the real fun, and Among Us especially, is it's very easy to like be next to a person the whole game visually, like you're seeing color person, and you're like, I can vouch for so and so because they were with me the whole time, and then to get backstabbed later by that same then like you just feel it more,
But that's so beautiful when that happens,
right?
Well,
right.
You're just like,
the best play that I've seen made was by my wife, who, by the way, absolutely will not play social deduction games in person. She hates lying to people. Like, she will not play Mafia, Resistance, whatever. Hates those games. She's like, okay, whatever, because I played that game for my birthday. She's like, whatever, I'll give it a try. And she's like, oh my god, that was so much fun. Because I'm behind a computer screen, I feel so much more comfortable.
Way easier to lie.
It's way easier to lie.
Yeah.
So the best play was made by her. She was imposter. I didn't even realize this was possible. She sabotaged one of the reactor or whatever, which requires 2 separate people to fix. Yeah. So I went to go fix the reactor, and she went to fix the reactor. I'm like, cool. Okay, I know she's on my team now, even though she's the one who sabotaged. So we were going back, and I was like, by process of elimination, I know who the imposter is now.
Right.
Unfortunately, the crewmates completed all their tasks first. But if they
Yeah.
hadn't, I would have voted off the wrong person and have died.
I've
But
had
it was very good play.
And that's the best. Like when you're in you get into more situations where people notice you, and that can work to your benefit as an imposter in a way that I'm sure plays out if you play with a really good crowd of resistance. But if you play with your average Joe or average, I don't know, Jane in resistance, they're not going to notice those kind of subtle, like, also like who voted who. Like if there's like a visual thing and you're like, oh, so I see someone didn't skip, or like, like these are things that I think you just notice more in Among Us. But the only downside is the Among Us really sucks unless you have a room full of people over voice, right? Like the game, like you play the game and you have like the chat or whatever, and you chat with
awful.
people. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's why I mean, like, that game desperately needs voice chat for two reasons. A, you can mute people, like I was saying earlier. B, if you want to play with a group of randos, you can get in there and use voice chat instead of the text chat, which is awful.
Yeah, that's no good.
Because it's so hard, because there's a limited amount of time in that game to, vote and do anything, and like to try to come up with like a complicated explanation, like, oh no, I'm not the imposter because I was like over here doing this task, whatever. Like by the time you type that message, it's like 30 seconds have gone by, and it doesn't work. That game with text does not work.
I saw someone, and I mentioned to you guys that someone had replicated Among Us in VR chat, apparently.
Oh, right. I read about that.
So what they did, it is voice chat, obviously, because you can't type. The cafeteria area in the main ship map is the one social area. So if you go to the cafeteria, you can talk to people. But then once you're on the ship doing tasks, you're automatically muted.
Nice. That's how it should work. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when someone hits like the emergency button, or if there's someone reports a body and you're all sitting at the round table, yeah, you can all kind of debate, and then you can walk up to the screen and click whoever you think is suspicious. So, I honestly, that seemed like it worked a lot better, because the great thing about that too is to get the emotion from people when they're like, no, it's not me, or
Right.
and they're all like, why are you betraying? So it's just
everybody betrayed.
Everybody betrayed.
I kind of want to do an in real life Among Us. And I've been thinking about how that would work.
Murder my friends.
Leo wants to kill people.
I want to kill all my friends, and I don't know. But the one interesting thing about that is, you could definitely like create the same game loop or whatever in real life. But if you were just like people with faces, and someone says, "Hey, you're acting kind of sus, Leo," like I'll just be smiling, like, "No, it's not me, guys. Trust me." Like I'm terrible at that. But I thought about it, like, what if everyone has like a mask on, right? Because then they can't see your face. I mean, they'll still hear your voice, I guess.
Okay.
But that way, when you're doing like the meeting to discuss, like you could still have a sense of anonymity.
This sounds like the like intro plot into like a horror movie of stabbing.
Exactly.
Your friend.
Then
like
I actually stab my friends instead of pretend to.
And then it turns out like he wasn't part of your friend's group. It's that one kid that you made fun of back in middle school.
And then I wear their
snuck his way into the party.
I think you're onto something there, Leo. That sounds like a good idea, because like I don't know, masks are just like inherently scary to me. I don't like masks.
Yeah.
It's never good when you can't see someone's face.
I mean, I feel like that has to be part of it, right? I think that's why Among Us is sort of in the slightly horror genre, because like there's definitely a sense of like at least edge of your seatness when you're the imposter and you have to kill people. Like, oh man, your heart starts pumping. You're like, oh, I have to fit in, but yet I have to murder my friends. But B, if you're not the imposter and someone's like standing right next to you for like a second, you're just like,
looking at him like, what are you doing? What are you doing, you son of a bitch? Go away.
Yeah. And then like you could just tell there's like an audience watching you saying like, no, turn the key or whatever. This, there's always someone in the horror movies like reaching for a key and they're not reaching it. Or
they can't get it into the
ironically shut the door right when they like someone else would have seen them or whatever.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff is happening.
Yeah. So Among Us, it's real good and real popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
popular right now. That's
That's
all the
some-
rage today.
That's something
with
worth
kids.
noting too, right? Like indie games, I feel like there's been a couple this summer that have just blown up. I guess because of like quarantine life.
Yes, I think a
Being part
lot
of
of when I was saying this game got popular because Twitch streamers, I mean that's true, that's half of it, but the other half is everyone's stuck at home and they can't play with their friends. So, hey, here's a perfect game where like you by the nature of the game, you can't be sitting in the same room.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
lesson there, folks, any of you game makers out there is to, kind of release a virus.
Yeah, engineer a coronavirus.
Yeah. Create a deadly pandemic to get people to buy your games.
Yeah,
It worked for Animal Crossing. I mean,
Among Us is actually a Chinese scam.
oh, there you go.
They created the
It all
game.
comes full circle.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, admittedly, in some indie games have just been popular, to be honest, in just the past year, but even before some countries went on lockdown. Like Goose Game was popular.
That's
Which
true.
it just like such random games you'd think like, what the fuck is this? And then people play it and it becomes like huge. It's been like a crazy year altogether, and I'm sure obviously pandemic has only boosted that because people are now experimenting with new things.
Yeah, like butt plugs.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, the
Oh.
way you said that sounded very sexual.
Well, it is getting late, so we
You
are
really
late
did
night boys.
Experiment.
With new things.
Experiment. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but we're not gonna get into that.
Good games after dark.
Oh, this is another After Dark episode. Yeah. All right. Anything else on Among Us?
Don't trust your friends, but yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah, I'd
that's
say
great.
give it a try. It's free on mobile, right?
Free on
You have to-
mobile.
you have to deal with
There's, like,
ads.
annoying ads, but whatever.
Yeah, you got some
Yeah.
ads. You can
It's
pay
just
like
after every
couple
game,
bucks.
there's an ad. Yeah.
Yeah, you
And it's
can pay
got
a
crossplay with the PC version.
crossplay
Yeah.
PC version. Crucial. I keep saying crossplay is the future. I mean, like, there's no reason not to be doing that.
Yep.
And it's like only $5 on Steam, which is like really a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have made probably twice more
Yeah.
money if they charged $10. I think it would have been
Yeah.
sold just as best good.
Hell, yeah.
Um,
I'm sure eventually when they start, if they do like some updates, maybe they'll up the price. I don't know.
I would love
Or
I
maybe-
would love this to start a trend of, digital social deductive games. Like, I'm all about that. Let's make
Yep.
that more of a thing.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't there something about the game where there was supposed to be an Among Us 2 that they were gonna come
Yeah.
out with,
Well,
and then
I heard that.
and then
yeah.
this got so popular they scrapped it and said, "Screw it, we're just gonna focus on this one."
Yeah, well, yeah, the game started to get popular, and they were like, "Oh, cool! Like, it's been 2 years, and now people actually like our game. What a
Yeah.
perfect time to like make a sequel!" And then it got outrageously popular, so much so where they were like, "Oh shit! Oh my god! So many people are playing this game. Let's just go back and fix, issues with the first game before we make a second one, because it's going to be a while. If they, started from scratch and made a second game, it was going to be a while. So."
Yep.
Before they did that, they were going to go back and fix a bunch of stuff with Among Us 1. Hopefully, they just add voice chat. For me, that is like the only thing that game is missing is just give me voice chat.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Play Among Us.
Yeah, do it.
Play
Do
it.
it.
Good luck.
Also,
Good luck
while
finding a group.
while you're doing stuff, you
Ooh.
can. Shit.
With
Oh
butt
my
plugs.
God.
While you're
Ah.
doing stuff, you can check out our Patreon. It is Good Games Cast.
Mm.
Fuck. What is it? Patreon.com/GoodGamesCast. That's not it.
That
Patreon.
sounds right.
No, that was right. That was
Oh,
correct.
was it really? Okay, I
Good
made
Games
that up.
Cast.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Our email address. You can send us spooky pictures. Ooh.
Nope. Don't, please. Don't do
Oh,
that.
I'll take some spooky pictures. What's wrong?
You're gonna get pictures of people's butt plugs.
Spooky butt plugs.
Spooky butt plug. Our email address is goodgamescast@gmail.com. We are on YouTube, Good Games Podcast, and we are on every podcasting service that matters. And if we're not on the one you're listening to, then you're listening to a podcast service that doesn't matter. I don't know. Well, wait a minute. If it's not on a podcast service, then you can't hear me anyway, probably.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
They'll feel you. They'll feel the essence, the cold chill run across their body as you said this, when it goes live. So they know secretly that they're not using the correct podcast software.
That's that. Yep. There we go. All right. You guys want to talk about horror movies?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to, for this Halloween episode, talk about our top 5 horror movies. Ooh.
So this is an interesting top 5 because I don't know. So I'm not as much of a wuss for movies as I am for games, and there's definitely some movies that like I appreciate because they were scary. Like they were definitely like some of the scariest movies I went to. But there's also some horror movies that I just love, but because I laugh at them the whole time. And I think I ended up with a mix. So I'm just not really sure. I guess it'll be interesting to see.
I've got some laughs in my. I'm curious to see how much overlap we have.
We'll see.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot.
There's a lot of horror movies though.
I went, because like a lot of my picks are very safe. For instance, my number 5 is Alfred Hitchcock's classic 1960 Psycho.
I always like Birds more than Psycho.
What?
What?
The Birds? Are
Yeah.
you shitting me? I rewatched The Birds.
It's
that
ridiculous.
movie is so fucking boring. I like.
What? Yeah, it's
like,
just it's like most of the scenes are just birds flying around.
I almost fell asleep like 5 times during that movie.
Oh,
And
I don't know.
by the way, like no shot against Alfred Hitchcock. Like I love. Okay.
Sure.
Rear Window and Birds are boring as fuck. I'm sorry. Psycho is good. Vertigo is fucking amazing. Like that's where it's at. Like I don't really think Vertigo is a horror movie though. It's more of a like thriller. But like that movie fucking blew my mind. But The Birds I found very snooze fest.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. You know, it's been a while since I've seen it. I'll have to revisit.
I promise if you go back and watch it now, you'll be like,
I remember
maybe,
liking it.
Maybe if you watch it as a kid, it's kind of scary.
Maybe I don't know. I remember liking it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Psycho's a good safe pick too, though. Classic. Yeah. I mean, really a big movie for the horror genre. It was like it did a lot of things that other
kind of like one of the like very first hugely popular American horror movies.
Yeah.
It pretty much like it was like one of the definition like gory horror movies.
Right, especially for the 60s. That was
I was gonna say for that time, a lot of things were probably kind of taboo, right? Like mental illness.
Especially well, it begins with the single woman sleeping with a married man, like scandalous.
Yeah.
She gets stabbed in the shower, scandalous.
Right, yeah.
You know?
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and mention one. I'll throw in, and I'm sure you guys probably have this one because this one made me hate clowns. It's It. It is definitely on my list.
I liked It, especially the new remake.
Yeah,
it's not on my list.
I haven't seen the remake yet. I still need to see that.
You're talking about
okay.
So
I'm talking about the old one.
I didn't see the old one, but I saw the remake. Yeah.
That one freaked me out a little bit. Just like all the time, the clown in the sewer, just him popping his head up in the thing. Like I get images in my mind when I'm dreaming of that kind of shit, of like weird, like creepy things in like a small dark hole, and it's embedded in me now. Like it won't go away.
Yeah, there's a lot of scary imagery in the remake as well. It'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
But my problem is I saw the SNL bit that kind of made fun of it before I saw actual It. So then like the whole time all I could see was their kind of goofy version of the clown, like saying funny things in the sewer. I guess I'll throw out. I don't really have a specific order for these. I just know sort of the top 5 in my head. I'm going to put at number 5. Now, listen, when I say this movie, you can't jump to the end, okay? Because I know a lot of this director's movies at the end get really stupid. But Signs with Mel Gibson,
Okay.
was until the end when things got a little bit more sort of actiony and they showed you the creature, which you never were supposed to do, man. There was a lot of creepy moments in that movie that like really tugged on that whole like kind of eerie, are they among us, right? The aliens. Yeah, see how I pulled that back there?
The aliens are very sus.
Yeah.
He
Like,
mentioned it.
I don't know. I don't know. They did it so well. The sound and those shots out into the cornfield and like just like a small wave of the cornfield, late at night. Like I've had times as a kid where like I'm looking out at some trees next to my house and like it's one of those things where if you stare too much in the dark, you start to worry that someone's watching back, or something. And
Ooh, yeah,
it
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of it tugged on
Yeah,
those feelings,
yeah, yeah.
So it's a kind of I'll put it on number 5 because it's not really a horror movie, but it was pretty scary. It was like I don't know, it was suspenseful.
Yeah.
Science.
Nice.
I met
Science.
Shyamalan.
Yeah. I for my number 4, I wanted to put a Wes Craven movie on here, and I really like A Nightmare on Elm Street because I like the imagery, like creepy imagery, and Nightmare on Elm Street is just chock full of that. I think of like Freddy Krueger with his like 8 foot long hands and like. Anyway,
Classic.
no, I went with Wes Craven's other hit, 1991 Scream, and the premise of Scream is kind of what if a horror movie was aware that it was a horror movie,
Right.
because all of the characters, well, at least some of the characters are aware of all of the tropes of a horror movie, which is like if you have sex you die, uh, what I
Don't
can't
go
even
too
think.
close to the water.
Yeah. Everyone, why does everyone, go inside the house when there's no escape and like go upstairs when you can't get out? Like,
Yeah.
just
Right.
aware of all the dumb tropes, the final girl trope. And, yeah, Scream is very self-aware and, but also like good.
Those great
Really?
movies, man.
Yeah. I
I
like
mean,
it.
my favorite though, and this will be an honorable mention, is the Scary Movie
Scary movie. Yeah.
series,
Uh-huh.
which really is a parody of the Scream movie, and like that really set the precedent from like 1992 to 1999. Everyone was going like, "Hello, what's up?"
Yeah.
Right, and that was like from that movie. So honorable mention, the Scary Movie, the scariest of all the movies.
Yeah. So scary. Um, since you mentioned it, James, I'll throw it out there. I actually put Nightmare on Elm Street
Nice.
because pretty much for what
Awesome.
you said, for all the weird and crazy imagery and the nightmare stuff and the like, yeah, just Freddy Krueger like creeping around under the covers, like he's like gonna kill you. Like I don't know, it just it's like one of those things. It's like again, as it's like those are movies that came out when I was a kid, so I'm sitting here like in my bed, like I don't want to be the covers. I don't want to look over the bed. Like there's gonna be some creepy, like you know, Wolverine hand dude
Yeah,
gonna
because
kill me. Like
the scariest thing about Freddy Krueger is like there was no rules to Freddy Krueger. He could just
yeah,
do anything as
he
long
can
as he was
come
in the.
out wherever the fuck he
Oh
wants,
yeah,
Yeah,
it was crazy.
my
Yeah,
my favorite
especially in
moment.
your fucking like bed, and it's just
yeah,
like I don't
yeah.
My
want that.
favorite moment is when what's her name's on the phone and she's like, well, hello, hello, and Freddy Krueger sticks his tongue through the phone and goes, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Very stupid.
Yeah,
That's
very
Very
yeah,
stupid.
stupid.
that's a weird
Yeah.
scene.
All right, I'll give my next one to again. This is another one that probably isn't on most people's top horror movie scenes, but I would submit that if a movie caused you to fear a specific aspect of your life for the rest of your natural life, that did its job as a horror movie in my mind. And that movie is Jaws. And that's the main reason I will never go to the beach and swim in the water because a shark will freaking attack you and bite your legs off. Even though that's an unrealistic belief, I'm 100% confident in it because of Jaws. Now, not your traditional horror movie, but in a way it kind of is, right? If you compare the shark to like the tropey horror guy, right? Like the guy who like always seems to like he's like 10, 20 feet away, but then you turn and somebody's right behind you. Jaws did that. He just did it in the water. And the suspense and the music.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a horror movie. Yeah, it's yeah. Um, So my number 3, is it a horror movie or is it a comedy?
Oh, here we go.
2011, Joss Whedon's Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good one.
so if Scream is a horror movie that is aware that it's a horror movie, Cabin in the Woods is a horror movie that it's aware that it's a horror movie that is aware that it's a horror movie. Like there are many layers to Cabin in the Woods. It's I don't know. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to say too much about what it is, but there are definitely many
Things are
reveals
not
and
what
many,
they seem.
yes. But also similar to Scream, like I think Scream had a playful sense of humor, but I think Cabin in the Woods is more like outright. Like there are horror moments and there are comedy moments, and the horror moments are scary and the comedy moments are hilarious. Like
Right.
it's a movie. It'll make you scream and it'll make you laugh, and I like
Yeah.
both of those things. Yeah, Cabin in the Woods is very good.
Okay. Let me think about. I didn't put these in any particular order
Oh,
because
okay,
I can't.
okay,
I just can't put them in any kind of crazy
That's
order.
fine.
I'm gonna throw out though. I did like the movie 2010. I think it was Insidious.
Oh yeah, okay. I
Um,
haven't seen that.
I don't think I
Yeah.
watched that.
That one left a little bit of a memory with me. I like it's kind of one of those weird, like there's some kind of haunted thing going on, and like there's like these like this like hunting team who eventually comes by and they're trying to figure it out, and they could eventually enter like some kind of weird realm. But like the great thing about that movie is just all like kind of the creepy moments that happens throughout it. Kind of gets at you a little bit, like the weird like like hiding demon, and sometimes you don't even notice its face until it's too, and it had
Oh
it had
yeah,
a
I've
little,
seen
yeah.
that clip. I know that clip you're talking about.
Yeah, it that movie has a lot of like good jump scare moments. So I guess that's why I'm putting it on my list. Is it's a good jump scary one.
I still hate jump scares. Like that is one common thread through most of my movies is they're not really jump scare intensive, except for maybe Scream.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess Cabin in the Woods also kind of.
Yeah, sort of. If you're not expecting it. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 3 will go to one I'm not really sure what it is. Like, is it a movie that is aware of itself, like the ones James has mentioned, or not? But my number 3 goes to Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's self-aware. I mean, or
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just sort of like not, and it just turns out that we all sort of had fun with it as, I don't know. It's very tropey and very goofy at times, and some really disturbing imagery throughout the film. But sort of a classic for me.
Nice.
Okay.
My number 2. This is debatably maybe it's a horror movie, maybe it's a thriller. It's one of my favorite directors, and it's David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, which so like the thing I liked about Nightmare on Elm Street is the horror imagery. David Lynch knows how to make a scary image, just an image that is just like fuck, like, and he loves dreams. And Mulholland Drive, the experience of watching Mulholland Drive is the experience of just watching a dream, because like scenes just kind of blur together and everything kind of blends, and like when you try to describe the plot of Mulholland Drive, like I've seen this movie like I don't know a bunch of times, and even describing the plot, you can't quite like it doesn't really make sense when you describe it. But yeah, if you ever just want to watch a waking nightmare, watch Mulholland Drive. It is weird and scary.
Wikipedia categorizes it as a surrealist neo-noir
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
mystery film.
Yeah,
And it says that it's commonly categorized as a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. It's
but,
horror adjacent.
Sure, yeah. I've definitely heard of it before. I don't know if it was through you or through someone else that said it was like the scariest thing that they had seen or something.
It is very trippy, there's a couple moments in there that will haunt your dreams.
Gotcha.
There's a couple very sexy moments in that movie too. Yeah. Yeah, It'll scare you, and then it'll turn you on.
Much like I do in bed.
Get the adrenaline and the
Yeah.
blood pumping.
Yeah. It's a weird movie.
My number 2, The Shining.
Oh, nice.
That's
Yes.
I love that because it's like, you know what, and I know we talked about this before. It's not as much of a scary movie as much as it is just kind of like a weird, creepy movie that slowly dips into going, pretty much psycho in a house.
Mm-hmm.
And just again, like the weird shit and the weird imagery that comes out of it with the things he sees, and just like it's one of those mind fucky kind of thriller movies. It's just screwing with you.
I mean,
Like
creepy.
him kissing the weird like decayed old lady and just
Creeps you out.
Yeah.
Ugh. Creepy stuff, I think, is part of horror movies. Like just creepy. Like that's why like also I always have like gore and stuff like that because like sometimes it's not just about scary, right? It's just like disturbing. Like
Yeah. It's just outright disturbing, and it leaves a pretty damn good.
That sits with you.
Like
right.
Yeah.
It
leaves a good memory on you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm very high on my last 2. So these I definitely knew were at the top.
Leo just smoked a big blunt. Here we go.
Very high.
Very high on these movies.
All right, I was very high watching them. Now, number 2.
Smoke horror every day.
goes to Paranormal Activity.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That movie was so fun to watch. And was put together on like a camcorder and some, movie magic, which is just such a cool story to see. But it ran rampant through theaters. Like people were all about that film when it came out. And like just watching it in a theater, that was full of like sort of jump scares and creepy shots and but I don't know, it's just all done in a very believable way because it was shot on these cheap cameras and stuff. And I guess it was kind of reminiscent of the Blair Witch Project, which I watched at some point, I think, but I don't know, for some reason Paranormal, just like the fact that it was like, it's kind of like Phasmophobia, the game that we've more like recently have played, and going into a house that like is haunted, just like someone's home, and there's an entity there and stuff. Like everyone's kind of had those thoughts, and I think to this day I still think of certain scenes of Paranormal Activity when I'm like, I don't know, if I just sit too long in a room, I start thinking like, is that chair rocking by itself, or like, I don't know. Yeah, it's really good. Very basic, but very good.
My only complaint about that movie, the ending wasn't so great for me. The way like they killed it off.
Yeah.
At the very end.
I forgot what the ending was.
Spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, skip the next
really
couple
cool
seconds.
Until like the last couple frames.
The last couple like frames was like he's like he hears the girl scream downstairs, so he goes running downstairs. The camera's still on the tripod. All of a sudden he gets thrown against the side of the room, and then she's like eating his body and has a weird demon face. And it's like, if I'm remembering the movie correctly.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and it was just like, I'm pretty sure that was the last scene. It was something like that.
It was something very like aggressively
way out of place. Like they were playing the whole thing.
Like the whole movie was very subtly like, it was like, what is it? Like what is the thing? And he kind of did the M. Night Shyamalan thing at the end where he just kind of like unloaded. It's like, oh yeah,
it was just such an abrupt ending of like he gets like thrown through. You see him come through the doorway and hit the camera. And the camera falls down or something.
Yeah. He gets dragged down the hall or something, doesn't he?
He gets dragged. She's doing something, and she's like all like weird and demony at the end. And it's like, well, that wasn't the way to end it. I feel like.
Yeah. The monsters. You're right. The monsters are always more scary in your head than
the actual. Yeah, that's kind of the you never do that, right?
Yeah, unless the monster is a man who's slowly going insane by himself, watching over the Overlook Hotel. My number 1 is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. For the same reason Justin mentioned. I like all of the like weird horror imagery, like the flash quick shots of like the woman in room 237 and like the Grady twins and I got like really, really, really into The Shining last year. Like I read the book, by which I mean I listened to the audiobook. It is very different than the movie.
Yeah.
And also last year is when Dr. Sleep came out in theaters, which is a weird premise because obviously Stephen King wrote Doctor Sleep as a sequel to his book The Shining, which is very different than the movie The Shining. But Doctor Sleep was both it was based on King's book, but also wanted to be a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Anyway, weird premise. So since Justin already endorsed The Shining, I will endorse Doctor Sleep. It is a very good movie up until the end, where right at the end, the movie just wants to go like full in fan service, and they go back to the Overlook Hotel, and it's like, hey, remember the scene from The Shining when the blood came out of the elevator? Hey, look, we recreated it. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I've seen that scene before. Like, and they just like room after room after room, it's just recreating shots from the original movie, and I found that very boring and like fan servicey in the worst way. But the like first 3/4 of that movie are good. Anyway, Doctor Sleep, it's fine.
Okay, you guys are gonna hate me because this isn't really even a horror movie. It doesn't even fall into the category.
Okay.
But I wanted to mention it as my number one because this
is it horror adjacent.
You could say, because it instills like creepiness and scariness and like fear and stuff. But half the movie's more of just being a movie. But this is a movie that would scare. There was a particular scene that would scare the crap out of me as a kid.
Is it?
I couldn't.
Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory?
No.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the weird
movie.
thing where he's like, "We're going down the hole."
That was really scary.
Oh my god, I love when Gene Wilder.
That was so scary though.
Oh, that scene gave me nightmare. I would.
Oh, I love that scene. See, that's
turn it off.
That's the psycho in me. See, I enjoy Gene Wilder being a
psychotic as an adult,
madman.
Yeah. As a kid, it freaked me out.
No, I couldn't watch the scene in Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
Like dinosaurs terrorizing. But the thing was, I think part of the problem is that was like one of the first movies we got that had like probably close to realistic CG. Was like you got, and like you couldn't really like tell it, like with the dinosaurs and everything. You know, we don't know what they actually look like. And and it's like the scene with the T-Rex getting out in the rain and like trying to eat the kids. Like I remember being so little, not being able to. Yeah, the sound. And my parents had the big. What was it called? The laser disc.
Oh,
the gigantic laser disc. They had the surround sound system with the subwoofer, and the subwoofer was huge. Nice. So it's like every time the T-Rex scene would come on, you just hear it in the house too. Just. It doesn't matter if I was up in my room and I didn't want to hear it.
Your water was vibrating.
Your cup of water actually shook.
And the T-Rex screaming was just like so, to me, was just so fucking horrifying as a kid. It was so traumatizing. I love the movie now, obviously,
being
older.
Horror adjacent.
But the whole like dinosaurs being around and eating people, and there was nothing you could do. Like being all of a sudden having that mindset of being like no longer being a predator and now being hunted by large, terrifying creatures was just traumatizing to me as a kid.
Okay. Well, before I give you my number one, Justin, I did check. Did you know Paranormal Activity had 3 different endings, depending on if you saw it in theaters or the original ending and then an alternate ending, and all 3 are slightly different.
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, I think I remember that.
So in theaters is the one that, I think I hated too, because she kind of has like that stupid demon face and kind of attacks the camera at the end. But in the original, they all sort of start with that creepy, like she just kind of gets up and walks away and then like screams and he comes running. And in the original, she just kind of, you hear like screaming and then she comes back with like a bloody shirt and just sits there, and then like the cops find her and kill her.
I actually, you know what? I think I've seen that ending too.
Yeah. And there's another one where she kills herself, which is even more creepy. But there's all sorts of endings to them. Just watching that real quick, like, man, movie's so good. Anyway, number one. We're here to talk about number one. Now, number one is scary for me because it hits close to home. Okay? If you are a man of darker complexion and you are with a woman of fair skin complexion, you might find yourself in some of the situations that our main character finds himself in Get Out. From what is the name? Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele traditionally a comedian and a really funny, creator of comedy skits and stuff. He's kind of claims that horror movies and comedy movies have a lot of similarities in like how they, trick the viewer into, situations like, that they weren't expecting or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of those shots were just so creepy. Some of them were jump scares, and at the end you get a super tropey, ridiculous level, horror stuff. So I don't know, really, really good movie. Really, really. Some of those scenes like still stick with me, to this
Yeah.
day. I think that's probably my
Yeah.
favorite horror film of all. Like right now, it's like top of my list.
Yeah, I love the whole like when he gets like pretty much hypnotized. The
That
whole
part
like
was so creepy.
sinking
Place,
down and
yeah.
not being able to pull himself back
You
up.
know what it
like,
was? I think you'd appreciate if you go back to that scene, Justin. You would appreciate the sound that they do, like the
Yeah.
sound
Oh
effect.
yeah, that's the thing I love the most. The
What does she say? Yeah, she was like, sink or something in your chair or something. And he's like, what? And she's
Oh yeah,
like,
he would just say sink. Yeah.
she's like,
Well,
sink.
yeah,
It's like
the
sewer.
sound design. Yeah, the sound
Oh,
design is so good because
so
she's
good.
also like
Doing the cup
Doing
stirring
that
thing.
little
Yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
But it throws you off. Like that one scene, I just want to see other people see it when they haven't seen it before. Like that
Yeah.
one scene, like you see them, you can watch people. They're just like, oh, that sound is kind of just it's like nails on a chalkboard sort of sound. Like what's going on? And then she says like sink, and then like as a viewer, you're like, what? And then she says sewer, and it's like, and then he goes into his chair and into like this abyss, and you're like, that's so weird.
And it's like the whole like him trying to swim out, seeing him like slowly sinking down. It like brings back like
Yeah.
kind of terror dreams kind of
Well,
thing
and
where
then
like
when you
you're
see him like
incapable of
literally
walking or running kind of
right when
thing.
he's like basically paralyzed and wanting, like it reminds you of those stories you hear of people who were like given amnesia but like woke up or something and they weren't
Yeah.
supposed to, like, yeah, it's just like this really disturbing feeling of like not lack of control that yeah, it's terrifying. But then of course, yeah, it's it's white people, he's got to be afraid of them
Fucking
sometimes.
white people, man.
Yeah.
Also, a movie that's got a good sense of humor. There's some good laughs in that movie. It's a terrifying movie.
Yeah,
but there's a couple good
it's got a
laughs. Yeah.
decent amount of comedy in it to where
For
it's
sure.
like, okay, that was a good chuckle.
Yeah, like the best friend that could have saved him all the troubles from the very beginning,
Like, man, I told you.
Yeah.
The hell are you doing? I told you these people were weird.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Us. Have you guys seen Us?
I have not.
No, I'm not.
Which
No.
is funny because like that, like, it came on the coattails of such great success for him. Like it has to be a good film. Taryn is a little bit more on the too scary to watch thing. So then like, I don't really watch movies unless I go watch them with her, unless it's like, Marvel or something. So.
And to be honest with how, well, hello,
Yeah.
I got a rupee.
It's a spooky rupee.
Ooh. No, see, and the thing that's, I don't know if it's a nice thing or a bad thing. With the pandemic, movie theaters seem to be kind of failing right now.
Fuck, yeah.
I know AMC is failing, but like, would you rather watch a movie like Us or whatever, like at home to where you can turn out the lights and put up the volume and not be around other people? Because sometimes I find being around other people in a theater during a scary movie doesn't really makes me not so scared.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in my house,
Yes.
like
I
alone,
like watching
just with your spouse or whatever. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I like watching horror movies alone. I like watching, action movies in the theater. The superhero movies are fine to watch in a theater. Yeah. But horror movies you got to watch by yourself.
yeah. So I'm hoping, I don't know, I'm hoping more of the, hey, we're gonna release this movie so you can stream it at home. Obviously, you have to buy it, but what's the difference?
Buy a ticket, maybe. I'll buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Like
Okay, it's like you pay like what's ticket prices now? 12? It's probably more than that now. But like I'll pay $12 if I really want to see a movie, but I'd much rather stay at home.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, eventually I'm gonna have the whole.
Wouldn't they get the same profit either way? I mean, besides the other.
They'll probably have to do that. I actually, Disney Plus got away with it with Mulan for like $30.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of people did it, including myself.
Oh.
Mostly because Taryn. I mean, you do, it's just this whole, premiere thing, and we got to see it. And it's pretty good. But
All right, you guys want to endorse some stuff?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
You want to go?
I got a spooky thing to endorse, and I got a funny thing to endorse.
Okay.
Which one should I do first?
Do the funny, and then we'll end the spooky.
So earlier this month, it was actually like almost on my birthday. It was you know, I like all of the presents I got from my wife, my friends, whatever. But the best birthday present I got was from internet famous comedian Neil Cicerega.
Oh.
You might know him from Harry Potter Puppet Pals. You might know him from his work with Demon, uh, uh, who, who came out with the internet famous song Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. You
Great
might
song.
also know him from his Mouth albums, and he released his fourth Mouth album earlier this month. Mouth Dreams is out now, and it is it's so good. He's really just mastered the art. So okay, let me explain what the fuck this even is. Neil Cicerega. So okay, there's this idea of mashing up two different songs, right? Where this song kind of sounds like this song, and you put them together, and sometimes it works. Neil Cicerega does that, but also puts songs together in like unexpected ways with like a comedic intent, right? Or he puts together like 90s, especially if you grew up in like the 90s, like 90s era, like nostalgia music, just like shitty ass 90s pop music, like Smash Mouth. That's why it's
Classic.
Mouth album, Smash Mouth. He loves Smash Mouth. Just putting Smash Mouth into every album, or into every song. Yeah, just like 90s cultural ephemera. He just puts that into songs with like a comedic intent. His opening song on Mouth Dreams is just the internet jingle. You remember the Yahoo search engine in their like commercial jingle was Yahoo. Yeah, that's it. That is his only sample for his opening track is just the Yahoo thing. That is the only thing he samples, and he turns it into this like orchestral work of like art. You feel like inspired by like the Yahoo jingle. It's like, oh my god. Anyway, Mouth Dreams is very good. I am also going to endorse a spooky thing. This is again just like weird, fucked up horror. I'm gonna endorse Suspiria. There are two versions of Suspiria. There is the original Suspiria, which I think was like 1971, and it's like an Italian horror film. And there's like no plot to this movie. This girl goes to a dance academy and weird shit happens is the entire plot of the movie. That's the entire plot. And it's just all about just these like weird, the director just loves these like weird colors and like weird camera lenses and setting up weird shots and having these like very over the top horrific spectacles when characters die. And that's the original. In 2 years ago, 2018, Suspiria was remade, and it's a completely different movie, but also good. This movie very much has a plot. I mean, it's still the same basic premise. Girl goes to dance academy and weird shit happens, but there is a lot more story involved, a lot more character development, and a lot more weird, fucked up shit. One of the most disturbing and gruesome horror deaths I've ever seen on screen happens in 2018 Suspiria. So yeah, if you're okay with some just gruesome, over the top body horror, just fucked up shit, I will endorse both the original and the remake of Suspiria.
Okay.
And that's what I got.
So I'm gonna endorse and not endorse the same thing.
Ooh.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, very spooky.
Me and my wife just got back. Huh?
What does he really mean?
Ooh, no. So me and my wife just got back from our anniversary. We went to Vegas. We risked it. We didn't get sick. We're good.
Oh, good.
Everyone over in Nevada was wearing masks. So good on you guys. Good job.
Good.
So in order to do this, we had to do a timeshare. That was one of the things. Very cheap. Like we got it for a really good deal. We got the Vegas vacation for 4 nights. We're getting a free cruise that we can do for 5 days, 4 nights,
Oh, nice.
and we're getting another vacation after that for like a really great price. So we're like, yeah, screw it. I'll sit in that thing for 2 hours and do that. So that's why, like, take advantage of that. If you're someone who's capable of just looking a salesperson in the face and telling them no, like, take advantage of these timeshares and use them. You don't have to buy them. Like, they're gonna hassle you, they're gonna bug you, but you don't have to buy them, and you can get some pretty good, incentives from it. So,
Nice.
it was really convenient. Now comes the actual timeshare experience, the thing I don't want to endorse,
Oh,
because we had this is our first like timeshare ourselves, not like being with our parents who have done them before. So we do this. We get there. We get there early too. We are the first ones from our group to arrive. And when they go and you can see them coming in from the previous timeshare they just did, all the agents are grabbing new folders, right? And then they're coming in and they're calling name, calling name, calling name, calling name. They do this for a half hour as the agents get all prepped up. We end up being the last ones called. So first one's arrived, last one's called. So we're like, all right, cool, off to a good start. We finally get called. And of course, the lady does her timeshare thing. She does her spiel. She shows you the videos. She tells you what's in this and here. They do all sorts of fun things and tell you numbers and all that and give you stupid, illogical things. And she didn't know how to do math, which was fun. Then we do the tour. We were supposed to go up to a room and tour like this big fancy room that you're supposed to buy in the timeshare. She has like she forgets the room key. So she I guess apparently left it back wherever she lived. So she had to go back down. We had to go with her. She had to awkwardly ask this other lady who didn't want to really give her the key, because I feel like the lady we got people is the one that people don't like. The other sales team doesn't like, because they were like, ugh. So
Damn it, Deborah.
So we finally get up there. We tour the room, and she's like, "You want to do this? You like the vacation, right? You like the vacation, right?" So eventually we go back down.
Stabbed you.
So that was sales pitch, and then now we're on the offer, right? So here's what we got. Can you do this? Like this is, and you get all these points if you do this, right? And we're like, no, we don't want to do this right now. And so she goes, all right, let me talk to my boss. So she gets up. Like 5 seconds later, she has a piece of paper. I was like, man, that was quite a talk. She goes, here's a better offer. And we're like, no, we're not doing this. Like, we're just not going to do this. And and the funny thing was too, we told her beforehand, we're not doing this. So she's like then digging into us. She's like, well, why don't you take out a home equity? Why don't you put the down payment on your credit card? Why don't you take out loans? It's like, why don't I just sell my son's soul to you? Like, what do you want from me, lady? And it got to a point where it was just kind of getting like really annoying, like, because like we were like, we're not doing this. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't care what you do. We're not doing this. So then she gets her boss to then come. She goes and talks to her boss, and then she gets her boss to then actually come and sit down with us. Her boss, like, for some reason, because we had mentioned Ashley's grandmother used to own a timeshare that's now one of their things. And we're like, yeah, it's one of the things you bought out. That boss comes by and tells us, no, you're wrong. It's not one of our things. And I'm like, okay, what was the point of telling me that? Like, why are you telling me? Like, why are you sitting down and the first thing you say is, sorry, you're wrong? Which, by the way, we were right.
Oh.
But I don't know. It was just whatever. It's like, and then the boss gives us like this really low offer that gives you like almost no points, that makes this whole thing not worth it. And we're like, we're not doing this. Like, we don't want to do this. Like, we don't want to buy a timeshare. Sorry, we're taking advantage of the offer you gave us. So the boss is like, and I looked her in the eyes of the boss, and I told her that, and she looked at me, and she nods her head, and she leans into the lady who had us, and I'm pretty sure she's like, all right, just let it go, give them up, and just check them out, right? So the boss walks away. Our lady's looking at us. She goes, come on, this is a really good offer. Come on. Okay, come on. They're really fucking persistent. So you got to be ready for that shit. They're like, they will hound the fuck out of you. And they're supposed to
completely immune to like the high pressure. Like, the more they dig in, the more I'm like, fuck you. Like, no. Like,
oh, it got to that point. Trust me.
Yeah.
It got to that point here. Because like she's like, come on, don't you want to do this? And we're like, no. And I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, because they're only supposed to do this for 2 hours. Once you go over the 2 hours, now you're
Well, they'll take you
aggravating
for
me.
the full 2 hours for sure.
Yeah, no, but they have to. That's
Yeah.
pretty much how they essentially get
Yeah,
paid in the
They're
end.
paying for that. Yeah.
Yeah, although they obviously get a commission too. But so she goes, she's hounding us again, brings back the loans and stuff, and we're like, no. And at this point, we're getting kind of annoyed. Then she goes, well, what about divorce? and I look at her like, what? And she's like, do you want to get a divorce?
Then you
James,
can
you
pay
know
for
how I get. I got pissed. I got so pissed. And I'm like, you know what, bitch? We're done. I'm like, we're done. Your 2 hours is up. We're done. And she's like, what? What did I do? What did I do? And I'm like, you're implying we're going to get a divorce if we don't buy your timeshare. And it's like, I'm like, who does that? On their anniversary, even. It's like, we told you this was our anniversary. And you just said, oh, you want to get a divorce? I was it's fuck you. And I told her, we're done. We're done. And I was like, I pretty much raised my voice at her. She got all pissed and she stomped away in a huff. They had to get a guy to come by and he had to apologize. And he had to like tell us, oh, sorry, it's supposed to be like they're supposed to talk about like a national statistic on vacationing and divorce. I'm like, that's not what she said. She
She's
literally
like,
just
"You
asked us
wanna
if we're
get
gonna,
a
you want to get a divorce? That's what she said to us. The guy's like, I'm so sorry. We're gonna check you out now. I'm
This
so
is all
sorry.
part of it, man. Because then the guy is like, "But wait, before I check you out, do you want to get
no,
this timeshare?"
no. That guy, he's actually the hospitality guy. He's essentially the HR to make sure like they don't say something stupid.
That
But she
sounds like a
said something
nightmare, to be
stupid.
honest. My parents,
Yeah.
I remember my parents did
Yeah.
that. And it was-
My dad has done like 20 to 30 of these things, and he mentally prepared me. He's like, they're gonna say this, they're gonna say that, they're gonna talk about this and that and whatever. Like, you just gotta stand your ground, right? And when I told him about the divorce thing, he's like, well, that's a new one. He's like, with how many I've been to, I've never heard that one before. I was like, yeah, kind of shitty on their part. So yeah, the timeshare sales pitch sucks. But if you're willing to tolerate 2 hours of this shit, sometimes the packages you get out of it are pretty worth it. It was really cheap for us. It's like for those 3 vacations, pretty much each one cost us $100 in the end.
Wow. Yeah.
To do all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
God damn, that was one hell of an experience. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I might hold on to that for 2021, like because 2020 is going to set us up for anything, really. I'll take whatever 2021 has, and then I'll go to do a timeshare and then go spend months away. All right, for my endorsement, I'll keep it simple. There's a Netflix show that I've only seen a few episodes of, but Taryn loves it, and so we've started watching it again, and she claims she doesn't remember it enough so that we could rewatch it. It's on Netflix. It's got great ratings. It's called Schitt's Creek, and that's
Jess has been trying to get me to watch that.
So I had seen a couple scenes here and there when she was watching it a couple years ago or whatever. It has Eugene Levy from American Pie, who I love. He plays the dad in American Pie. He's a goofy Jewish dude. And so it had my interest a little bit, but I just kind of let her watch it. And now I'm watching it, and a couple episodes in, I'm like, all right, this is pretty funny. It's a really interesting premise. Basically, from the very first episode, it's thrown you into sort of you're with these characters that have been thrown into a complete shitstorm, no pun intended, because they are rich and they have had something happen where they've lost all their money, and then the only thing that they own is that, as a joke, the father bought a town for the son to make a joke because the town was called Schitt's Creek, and turns out that he actually has the deed of ownership for the entire village or whatever. And so that's all they own, so that's where they go to live, from this elaborate mansion with maids and stuff to some random town living in a motel. So hilarity ensues, and there's about 6 or 7 seasons of it, I guess. So
no, okay.
Nice. Okay.
really, really interesting show.
Cool.
Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek.
Happy Halloween.
All right.
Happy
Halloween.
Spooktober.
Happy Halloween. Don't murder your friends. And
Unless you're playing Among Us.
And red is
Yeah.
always sus. Always.
Yeah.
Oh, red is always sus.
Oh, is
I
that
think Justin's always sus.
I don't even think I was like no, I was the traitor one time, and then I screwed up, and someone walked up on me jumping an event, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was the one time I was sus. All other times I was not. So
Oh, man.
Okay, our next episode, I think it's going to be Star Wars Squadrons, right? We're
Yeah.
finally going to do that. All right,
I should
cool.
probably play that game. All right.
Yeah, I
let's do it.
played some today. Actually, it was
I
good.
was this close. I was this close to finally booting it up.
Well, you should have hopped on with me.
Yeah. Let me know next time you hop on. You can show me the ropes.
All right. Well, whatever. We can get into that on the next episode. All right.
Yeah.
Monster will follow you after you're done listening to this podcast. That's my sign off. I'm James.
Okay. I'm going back to this voice. I'm Leo.
Why is this like the scary? Why is this a scary voice? Like, what?
Actually, it's a very good voice exercise.
Oh, really?
If you want to train in singing, that's
do
ghost. Yeah, you're vibrating. Anyways, I'll see you next time. This is Justin signing off. To suck your blood. I'm going to suck your butt plug.
That's what it sounded like you were going to say. Oh, man. That is terrifying.
Yeah. A butt vampire.
Anyways.
All right, we're done, right?
Yeah. See you later.
See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah. Butt plugs. It's a silly thing.
Nice. All right.
Is it like SCHITZ?
Yeah,
or something?
SCHITT.
Shit streak.
Yeah.
Not literal shit, but you know.
Like Shveddy balls.
Right, just like that. 14 teen. Yeah.
Oh my god. You took me back.
Bringing it way back.
Oh,
Pre-YouTube era. That's where I'm from, buddy.
Jesus.
Some of you are too young to remember that.
Oh god. You took me so far back. I went back 20
James,
years. Yeah.
Sink.
Oh yeah, that's what it felt like when you said 14 teen. I was like, ah! All right, anything else?
No, that's it. And hey, kiddo's still asleep, man.
Nice.
11 o'clock. We're doing it.
Doing it, man. This is it. This is when you can finally sleep at least 4 hours straight.
Yeah, that's not bad. It'll take 4 hours.
Yeah.
The problem is the second 4 hours. Or the second, really 12. Well, he sleeps probably like a total of like 12 hours because he goes to bed. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, you got him sleeping through the night?
What do you mean? We encourage him to sleep through the night, but the last leg from like 3 o'clock on is.
Yeah, it's on off. Sometimes you
Yeah.
get lucky and they sleep through. Sometimes it's like they woke up at 3 a.m.
Mostly,
like, ah.
yeah. Mostly, it's like they're just up at 3 and it's hard to get them to stay asleep.
You just gotta keep it consistent. You gotta keep trying, and they gotta figure it out themselves. That if I'm
Eventually.
upset, I gotta figure out how to go back to sleep.
Yep.
So
Should be a fun
it'll
night.
happen.
Should be a fun
You'll
night.
get your sleep again. It'll come back.